Title: I Found a Real Cursed Diary.
I've always been a sucker for old things, the stories they seem to hold.
Last week, I was picking through a dusty estate sale and I found this. It just felt different.
The leather is worn completely smooth, but there's no name, no inscription.
And the writing inside, it's not a diary about daily life. It feels like a warning. Hook.
This isn't just some story I cooked up. I think I found a real cursed diary.
Finding it sent me down a rabbit hole I wasn't expecting, a search for other books from history that were sealed away with dark intentions.
Just waiting for someone to turn the page.
It really makes you wonder, how many other books like this are out there?
Not just stories, but real-world texts said to be haunted, cursed, or just plain evil.
What I found was a world of folklore far darker than I ever imagined. Section 1, The Devil's Bible.
First up is a book so massive, it feels like it wasn't made by human hands.
It's called the Codex Gigas, but it's more famously known as the Devil's Bible. Scholars believe it was created in the early 13th century at a Benedictine monastery in what is now the Czech Republic. This thing is nearly 3 feet tall and weighs a staggering 165 pounds.
But its size isn't even the strangest thing about it. According to a medieval legend,
the book was the work of a single monk sentenced to be walled up alive for breaking his vows.
To save his own skin, he promised he could create an extraordinary book to glorify the monastery.
And that he do it in a single night.
As midnight crept closer and the task was clearly impossible, the desperate monk allegedly made a pact with the devil,
offering his soul in exchange for the finished book.
The next morning, the magnificent codex was complete. In gratitude, or maybe as part of the deal, the monk included a full-page, chilling portrait of his helper. The incredible uniformity of the writing has led experts to believe it would have taken a single scribe several decades to complete, which only adds to the mystery. The book itself contains the full Latin Bible, medical texts, and even instructions for performing exorcisms. Section 2, The Red Dragon.
Not all cursed books are born from desperation, though. Some seem to be created with a singular, terrifying goal.
This brings us to the Grand Grimoire, also known as the Red Dragon.
It's sometimes sensationally called the Gospel of Satan, but that's not its official title.
This infamous book of black magic is basically a how-to guide for summoning demons. While its lore claims a 16th century origin, the versions that exist today are more likely from the 18th or 19th century. A cult tradition claims the original was written by a figure named Honorius of Thebes,
who was said to be possessed by the devil.
One of the book's sections gives explicit instructions on how to summon Lucifer or his subordinate, Lucifuge Rofocal,
to form a pact. An unverified but popular rumor insists the original is locked away in the Vatican's secret archives,
far from anyone's eyes.
Whether it's a tool of immense power or just an elaborate, dangerous hoax,
its legend persists as a warning about the price of forbidden knowledge. Section 3, The Spirit in the Box.
Sometimes a curse isn't written on a page, but supposedly trapped inside something. This is the story of the Dybbuk box. While it's not a book, its legend began in our own time, with an eBay listing in 2003 by a man named Kevin Mannis.
Mannis wrote an elaborate and spooky story for the antique wine cabinet he was selling.
He claimed it had belonged to a Holocaust survivor who had managed to trap a Dybbuk, a malicious, clinging spirit from Jewish folklore inside of it. The story he told was terrifying.
Mannis claimed that after getting the box, he and others experienced horrific nightmares, saw shadow figures, and were hit with a wave of unbelievably bad luck.
His story went viral, and subsequent owners claimed to have similar paranormal experiences and misfortunes. The box was passed from one collector to the next, its legend growing online until it inspired the 2012 horror film Times, The Possession. Then, in 2021, Mannis admitted the whole thing was a work of fiction. He said he was a creative writer, and that the Dybbuk box was an interactive horror story he created in real time. So, the Dybbuk box is haunted by a spirit, but by the power of a story so compelling it took on a life of its own.
Conclusion.
Looking at my own discovery, this little diary I found, I see it in a whole new light. It's not just an old book. It's part of a long human tradition of pouring our fears and our fascinations onto the page.
From a monk's legendary pact with the devil to a sorcerer's dark ambitions.
And even a ghost story made up for the internet, these texts are more than just paper and ink.
They are vessels for our darkest ideas and our deepest fears. They hold the stories we tell ourselves about the thin line between this world and whatever comes next. CTA. What story do you think is really trapped in these pages? And what happens when a story is dying to get out?
Let me know what you believe in the comments below.